show how important it is to your leadership that we are all exceptional in everything we do. I think at this stage I'm supposed to say, because we're in Newcastle, we're the lads, but I'm afraid I'm actually from Bradford in West Yorkshire, so it comes out with a bit of a funny accent. I have to say it's an enormous pleasure for me to open this event today in Gateshead, and it's great to see all of you here today from across the north. I've met lots of you from Sheffield, from Leeds, from Newcastle, from Sunderland, and I'm really glad that you came here, because without you this event just wouldn't work. I know I've only ever seen the Sage building on photographs, and it really is an iconic building. So it's absolutely great that we've been able to get this venue for our event to date, because I think we should take our inspiration from this place and from all of the great people that you're going to hear about today, about how we too can be exceptional. So you might be wondering, so why is the PermSec from DEFRA opening this event today? Well, I'm doing it for 3 reasons. Firstly, because I'm incredibly proud to be a civil servant. Be exceptional is a great opportunity for all of us to remind ourselves why we do this job, how we can all be brilliant when we're at our best. And I think it's important to get that inspiration from everything we do. Secondly, I am a really passionate believer in the importance of learning and development for all of us, from admin grades right up to including me as a permanent secretary. It helps us all to grow in confidence and in our skills and ability, and it helps to ensure that the civil service we work in continues to be exceptional for the future. I'm also really proud to have been asked to be the champion for Civil Service Local North East. As you probably know, the vast majority of civil servants work outside Whitehall, many of them across the north, and it's really important that we have a united civil service across all departments, so we don't get stuck in our silos, and that we have one which truly engages with local communities. I was born and bred just down the road in West Yorkshire, so I think that counts as north, and I've always been very keen to support the opportunities people have to develop a career outside London, and actually to join up across organisations in the regions and with local communities and other public sector deliverers. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to Civil Service Local North East, and in particular to Michelle Crawford. If you're here, Michelle, give us a wave, for all the hard work and preparation that she and her steering group and many of you have put in to making this event what it will be today. What I'm going to do in the next 10-15 minutes is just to go through what today is all about. What are you going to get out of it? What can you do to be part of the change that we're doing? Because for me, civil service is about being exceptional in everything we do. But that does mean reform, it does mean change, and it will often mean trying to do the impossible and proving that we can do it. I believe the civil service is already exceptional. You've heard about a lot of things that we've done on the video clips. I see examples of what we do as I go up and down the country visiting DEFRA's offices. I've also seen some great things here in Newcastle at Long Benton, where I've seen the way you're working to improve public services that are delivered from that site. We're exceptional in the way that we provide infrastructure to support the economy, whether that's for transport, for energy, or for flood defences. We're exceptional in taking on some of the biggest difficult policy issues of our lifetime, the impact of an ageing population on our health and social care systems. Civil servants also work hard to keep us all safe from the threat of terrorism. And we're also doing our best to promote the UK economy, both here in the north and by helping promote UK businesses overseas through all of our embassies and trade missions. So day in, day out, thousands of civil servants, just like you, are doing their best to deliver absolutely vital services for people and to support the economy and a fairer society. So on behalf of all the PermSecs, some of you who you've just seen on the screen, and particularly the senior leadership, Sir Bob Kerslake and Sir Jeremy Haywood, could I say a huge thank you to you for your commitment, your dedication, and your passion about being a civil servant. So why would we want to change? I guess the civil service, like all of our great institutions, We cannot afford to stand still. As you've heard and you know in your daily lives, we face big challenges as a country. The world is changing. We face some big, tough economic challenges, not least up here in the north. We find big, difficult issues for us to tackle around society and how we're evolving. So like many other organisations, the civil service has to change, it has to keep up if it's going to learn and develop and to continue to be an exceptional civil service for the future. That's why we have a civil service reform plan. It provides the big framework which goes right across the whole of the civil service and shows how we will be delivering better in the future. But I think as all of you will know, you come from many departments, DWP, HMRC, hope there's a few folk from DEFRA here today. All of the departments have their own change programmes which fit within that. And in a way today, you have a unique opportunity to see some examples of civil service reform in action. Be Exceptional is an event where we all come together as civil servants to see how other people are learning to tackle some of the big issues which society faces. Make the most of this opportunity to meet some people that you didn't come with. I know some of you have come in groups, but this is your chance to get out and talk to people you haven't met before, to have a coffee, to network, to find out what they're doing to change their own selves and the organisation that they work for. And in particular, I want you to get involved in the debate and the discussion. So bring your questions, your ideas, and your issues to all the debates and discussions we've put on today. I think my final thing is how important it is to make sure we learn about the skills we need, both for today and for the future. So if you have a look at the schedule for the day, it's pretty busy. It's packed with fantastic things to do. Go and find out how DWP are transforming people's lives through universal credit. Find out how we're making some of the biggest transformations in the way we deliver social services. Listen to the leaders who are going to be here today about how their leadership is helping to transform the organisations they work in. And learn how you too can bring your ideas as we move forward with the Civil Service Reform Plan. As you remember, I hope, last year's Civil Service Reform Plan set out how we are going to change as an organisation, how we need to become more skilled, more digital, better at policy making, and much more unified and open and accountable for all of the service we deliver. We absolutely have to do this to meet rising public expectations and the challenges we face both today and in the future. All of the workshops and all of the stands that you'll see outside of them have something to show you how this is being done, day in, day out, across the civil service. I'm particularly interested in the digital agenda and how that can help improve our services to the public. And I'm certainly looking forward to visiting DEFRA's Rural Payments Agency stand. I've already spotted the carrots, you can't miss it. If you want to find out how the Rural Payments Agency is transforming the way it makes payments to farmers, just look for the carrots. But this is also about how we can all be much better skilled as civil servants. And as I said, I include myself in that. Last week, I spent an hour of my 5 days a year learning how to tweet. Now, I think I'm still a novice tweeter. I'm going to be doing a bit of practice after this session today, and I hope you all are. But if I can learn to tweet, then I think all of you can go away from today thinking, what does digital mean for me? How can I use social media in the way I do my job? So by coming together today, we can build a civil service that is truly exceptional, that actually delivers the best for Britain, and actually makes us more united, more flexible, and more skilled. Later this afternoon, you'll be able to hear from the head of the civil service, Sir Bob Kerslake, who's going to talk to you about civil service reform 1 year on. I want you all to start thinking now about the questions you're going to ask of Bob, and also to ask him what he thinks the future holds for us all, but also bring your thoughts and ideas to that event. What I want you to get out of today most of all, though, is inspiration. Inspiration from your colleagues who day in, day out are transforming the services that we deliver to millions of people. This is particularly important here. Look at how MOJ are transforming the rehabilitation service they give to prisoners to ensure that they move successfully out of custody back into the community. Pick up some top tips from civil service learning on how you can best use the 5-a-day commitment. That's 5 days of learning and development every year to help you to develop your skills and your confidence. They can help you with self-assessment. They can help you look for tailored programs to get the right mix of support for what you need to do to develop as an individual. There'll be people on hand to answer your questions. Make the most of it. Do not be shy. This is your big opportunity to find things out. I also hear that there's going to be a workshop on how we're going to have a transformed workplace, how we can get better IT linked up with better offices, how we can be more unified through that. And there's also an awful lot on display about the volunteering opportunities that are available in the civil service, how we can put something back into the communities we work with. I just wanted to say a word about Newcastle and some of the amazing things that you do here. I think as we're here, we need to learn from people who work in some of our biggest operational services at DWP and HMRC. Because I think it's the operational services that the public think of when they say, what does the civil service actually do for us? The impact of those operational services is absolutely massive. You will see that on the lives of the people you see and you offer advice to day in, day out. So if we can take advantage of digital, if we can look at lean continuous improvement systems, we can actually use those tools not only to save money, but actually to reduce the stress and hassle of getting support when you need it most, and actually to provide a better service to our citizens. So I was really pleased when I was working with Civil Service Local up at Long Benton in Newcastle to hear about their initiative about pace setters. This is how they're looking to introduce lean, continuous improvement systems into everything they do on a day-to-day basis to improve and transform the lives of our citizens. I also ought to do a short plug for Civil Service Local North East. If you're from a different part of the country, ask what Civil Service Local in your area is doing, because they are there to make sure that the things that don't quite work right, that come down the departmental stovepipes, they work across departments. They look to how we can share expertise and learning on things like sustainability, on better health at work, on volunteering, on lean and continuous improvement. But often, and I look up and down the countries, what they've chosen to do is to focus on management development programs and talent management. So here in the North East, they've been running a very successful talent management program for all of the admin grade. So that's people at AA and AO levels. That accounts for over 60% of the civil servants who are based here in the North East. So imagine how important that is. And this is a program that's designed to develop the skills and the confidence of those people to become the managers and the potential future leaders in the civil service. It's a fantastic course. Go along to the workshop and find out more about it. I was really privileged to hear presentations from two of the people who had been on that course, and they genuinely inspired me about how quickly they had grown, not just in skills of leadership, customer services, but in the confidence that they had developed, and the confidence really shone out, and they will pass that on to other people. So find out more about Civil Service Local in the North East and what it can do for you. But also ask what can you do for it, because they're always looking for people who are willing to share best practice, to offer to be mentors, to offer to coach people, to bring on the people who are coming up behind us. So I guess my aim for this exceptional event today is to help you all to understand what your part is in a more unified, a more skilled, and a less bureaucratic civil service. We really want you to go away feeling empowered to do things, to change things, and to do things differently. We'd also like your feedback at the end of the day. Tell us what you thought. Would you have liked something different or better? But what we really want you to do is to think about what you're going to take away and do differently when you go back to your offices. Now, I wanted to conclude this opening statement by saying something a bit more personal about what civil service reform means to me, and one of the elements that is really important. And the element that I've chosen is the more skilled. It seems pretty simple. If we're all more skilled at doing our job, the civil service will be a better organisation. We will be able to face up to some of those tough challenges that I was talking about earlier. We already have some pretty exceptional people here. You will meet many more of them today in Gateshead. But I think learning and development is something that all great organisations and all great people commit to doing continuously. There is always scope for improvement. It's why in DEFRA we developed the 5-a-year campaign to really motivate and engage people to take up the opportunities on offer. I know some of you may be thinking, this is quite a big ask at a time when there's an awful lot to do, an awful lot of pressure. And it can be difficult sometimes on a wet Monday morning, let me say in Bradford or in London, to motivate yourself to make the time, to put in the effort. Whenever I feel like this, I take inspiration from one of my great heroes. Now you have to bear in mind that I'm a rower in my spare time. I know I don't look like a rower, I'm far too small, not very good, but I'm constantly improving. My hero is a Scottish rower, some of you may have heard of her, called Catherine Granger, who finally won her gold medal at the 2012 Olympics last year at Eton Dorney. Now I say finally because this was Catherine Granger's 4th Olympic Games. She'd come second. She'd won a silver medal at the Games in 2000 in Sydney. She won silver at the Athens Games in 2004. And in China in 2008, her crew was overtaken in the last 200 metres of the race by the Chinese opposition. Now, why on earth would someone who had worked 6 days a week, training sessions, all weathers, sign up for another 4 years of hard work, commitment and dedication after coming second all those times? And when you look at the margins of the top athletes, particularly for rowing in the Games, the difference between coming first and second is usually 1 to 2 seconds. So think about it. You work for 4 years. You can win or lose by 1 or 2 seconds. So I take my hat off to Catherine Granger. She lost by roughly 2 seconds. She picked herself up. She motivated herself to set a new goal for 4 years hence to improve her performance by about 2 seconds. So my view is if Catherine Granger can do that, all of us can commit to doing something slightly less challenging in our day-to-day lives. We can all commit to improving our skills and our performance through what we do. And my final piece of advice is don't worry about the 4-year rule. Most people in rowing set a 4-year goal, then they set a year goal, then they break that down into manageable chunks of things that they know they need to do to improve. And they have coaches, they have mentors, they have people around them that they can learn from. And that's what I want you to take away from this day. That's how learning and development works. You break it down into manageable chunks, you speak to your friends, you get a coach or a mentor or someone who can guide you. And in due course, when you get really good at what you do, you can be that coach or that mentor or that guide for someone else who we want to bring on. So if I had one plea for all of you, something for you to do when you leave after a day today, is to take away the one thing that you are going to do to develop your skills and your performance to help the civil service be a truly exceptional civil service, both now and in the future. Thank you.